We think that software developers are not going anywhere. They are saying this job is not going anywhere soon, but the job will change, and software developers will have to learn how to use these AI agents, these resources, besides their normal tools to be an effective, productive part of the team.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Top of the Hunt. Today, we've got Jonathan with us from Fine, who've created an interesting product for teams of sort of 50 developers up to about 200. It could make you about 4 times more efficient, which is a phenomenal achievement with the use of AI. It's secure, it's safe, and they've got an interesting roadmap and plan for the future. So, without further ado, I'll pass you over to Jonathan. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
I'm Jonathan from Tel Aviv, Israel. I'm the co-founder and VP R&D of Fine, where we're using AI agents to build software, develop code, take tasks end to end from JIRA tickets all the way to pull requests. We launched on Product Hunt and we got second product of the day and number one dev tool of the week, which we are pretty proud of.
So, what's your background?
I've been in the tech world for the past 10 or more years. It started with my military service in the intelligence, and then I moved on to doing data science in different startups and really diving into developer experience in the past 3 or 4 years. Living around developers, working together with developers, there's so much depth in the world of what we like, what we don't like. Even in the small things like the keyboards, the mouse you use, everything is tailored to the developer and to your experience. And there's so much to look into over there that I was curious to see what can I find out, etc. And from this interest in developer experience, I got to working on Fine, thinking that, hey, this is actually something that will be the future of this field.
Do you have a lot of learnings from working for the intelligence force that you've brought in? Is there a lot from there? It's very interesting.
Yeah, I
to have
think
had
it's
such a job.
more about the way I work and less about the actual content. Usually organizations are behind. Big organizations are behind in these type of things. I'm not sure. I haven't been there for a while. But yeah, it's more about the way I work. I think right now, actually, something that's pretty interesting about the field is that it's being led more by individuals and less by big tech and big corporations. So you'll find that an anonymous person can release a paper on archive that sets a new state of the art for AI agents, which is pretty great. So it's more about the individuals at this point.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very interesting. I'd read somewhere recently that they think there could be a one-man unicorn soon. It would be interesting if we can get there. And I suppose a tool like yours might enable people
Yeah,
to
I
do
hope
that.
so. I hope so. Yeah.
What is Fine and how does it work for the average person?
Okay, so Fine is a developer tool. It's meant for developers. There are many developer tools that launch on Product Hunt. It's a very famous platform for developers to find interesting tools. It's a tool that uses AI agents, which are basically entities that can use tools, they have skills, they have workflows, and they have a certain goal. And these AI agents can help developers build software. As a software developer, you'd like to complete a task from JIRA or from your favorite task management platform. You just assign this task to an AI agent, and the AI agent takes it end to end, returns a pull request, which basically means, hey, I'm done with the task, take a look, review what I did. And the human developer is free to deal with other things like drinking coffee or talking about tech or whatever they like.
Yeah, so it's been improved the whole time you're in this conversation. You told what to do an hour ago, and it's still working.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So from there, if it was to be like a solo developer, how many people would it feel like they've got on their
So the
team?
idea is to help teams work more efficiently. We don't want to replace the software development team. We think that a team of 5 developers would do the work of 20 instead of one developer doing the work of 5. So we build our product in a collaborative way, meaning that it allows for collaboration on the platform. We allow teams to use these AI agents collaboratively and really share this resource together. This allows companies to easily work with our product, and also it allows everyone to be more productive. We think that software developers are not going anywhere. They are saying this job is not going anywhere soon, but the job will change, and software developers will have to learn how to use these AI agents, these resources, besides their normal tools to be an effective, productive part of the team.
So let's just say, for example, if a solo developer was to use Fine, would it be as effective for them as using like a
It
tool,
depends
you
on the
think?
tool, but I think the world of developer tools is moving towards natural language coding. So this is which is where we are using agents, using these entities, and we are drifting away from coding assistants, simple coding assistants that write a line or two
Mhm.
for you. So eventually, I think we will see a consolidation of tools in the area of AI agents, and we'll see people leaving the next line suggestions. But it will take time, and during
Mhm.
this time, we will use both of them, which is not. It sounds funny, but it's not
Mhm.
contradicting, right? Because you can delegate the task to an AI agent, and once it returns the result to you, you can use another tool to review this result. I think we benefit from all the tools, but it's a matter of knowing what saves you time, how to work with these tools, and how to work properly.
Yeah, I can imagine we had the job title for a while that was worth $200,000 a year, where you were a prompt engineer. Perhaps in the future we might see an AI engineering manager. What on earth that is, because he knows how to do the
Exactly.
multiple levels of management. It'll be interesting. Perhaps I could do that job if I could code. Maybe I could do it, but we'll see. I suppose one thing that might be interesting is the voice. If somebody could talk to it, could be interesting. I don't know if you have a meeting and you can tell it in that meeting, this is what we need to get done today, lads, and then all of them go off.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Would there be something
I
like that in the
think
pipeline? Do you
I'll tell you
think?
more than that. I think, as in general in technology, we will invent new interfaces to work with technology. It will no longer be like the command line versus graphical UI. There will be something else that will be geared towards working with agents. Maybe voice oriented, maybe voice visual. I have no clue.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. I've tried to write code with ChatGPT, for example, and it looked fine. And obviously, I can't read it very well. And then when you go and put it somewhere, nothing works. So you still have to have the human who knows how it works to be able to
Exactly,
make it work,
exactly.
don't you? So, is there any limitations on programming languages? Would I be able to use it with sort of HTML, Flutter, JavaScript, etc., or are you focused on a
So we are
couple of
working with
languages for
what's
now?
called the modern stack, languages like React, Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, and Next. We've tried working
Hmm.
with also older languages. We've had some interesting use cases. I can't say that these work the best. Normally, what we see from clients, from users, is that the modern stack is really what shines, is really where the AI shines. That's okay with us.
Hmm.
Perhaps in the future we will have to narrow down on specific languages, but for now, we see that the modern stack is good enough.
So I saw something similar. I say something similar. It appeared to be similar, but I've seen some negative reviews from a company that released a tool called Devin. How would you smile and you know exactly what the question is?
Yeah, Devin really made a lot of waves because the video and everything they released was so promising that it I think people's expectations were sky high, and that's not where the technology is at the moment. A bit more on that. The world of AI agents is very similar to the world of autonomous vehicles in the manner that it's a problem that you can
Mhm.
easily imagine the solution, but actually the solution is very complex, and getting it to a production grade level where everyone can use it and it's very fail safe and very natural to use is very difficult. So this is why we still don't have autonomous vehicles roaming the streets of every city in the world. But still, it's very easy to imagine the solution. And if you can imagine an autonomous vehicle, very easy. You know what it does, you know what it has to be to avoid, etc. So, at least in my feeling, the cognition, they showed us a video of an autonomous vehicle. The technology is not there yet. A lot of harsh feedback and also some negative feedback from the community. Fine does not, we do not claim that we give you this level of autonomy from our AI agents, but we can help you on the same purpose, which is cutting time, making tasks way faster, delegating tasks offline to an AI agent. These things still happen, but it's not yet at the level of just let it go and it will return a complete task 100%, no problems at all.
I watched the demo video of it, and I thought perhaps I could make that app that I was thinking about making in three prompts maybe, and it'll be finished. And obviously it was clearly oversold, and as you say, we're nowhere near ready for that yet. So how long do you think it would be for us to get to the point where Devin would be a
Well,
realistic
that's a great
solution?
question. I talked about it this morning. I got reminded of the phrase by Bill Gates that we underestimate what we can do in a year, but we overestimate what we can do in a decade, or the other way around. We overestimate what we can do in a year, we underestimate what we can do in a decade.
Yeah.
So I feel like perhaps in the
Yeah.
next year or so, we will feel many breakthroughs, but probably in the next few years, and I'm talking 5 plus, before we get to a solution that's so stable, so accurate, that it really feels like another human, that we can blindly trust it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? If anyone's used chat for any type of conversation, I say chat because they're the face of that type of AI at the moment. They're very quick to hallucinate. I've asked some questions before and it's categorically wrong. And then all of a sudden it's, no, I'm not, I'm right. And then 2 seconds later, it'll admit it's wrong. And as humans don't change perspective so quickly on such a strong position. So we'll see how it goes. So what's the long-term plan or the long-term vision for Fine?
Yeah,
How's it
so
going to
we would
unfold
love
over time?
to be the place where developers go to develop software. So imagine you get a task from your product manager, or you find an issue on GitHub, or you have a pull request that you want to review. Every interface that a developer has to the software, we want to be there. So right now we already integrate into multiple services that work with developers, so their task management, their GitHub or Git providers, their error management systems, maybe their CI/CD. But we want to be in every place that you as a developer work, so that we are in your flow. It's super easy for you to delegate tasks to an agent, whether from your Slack or from your even from your email. The idea is that you can think about this entity as another developer in your team, and if you could delegate a task to
Mhm.
another developer in your team from a certain interface, you should be able to do it to us as well. And I see us integrating into many layers of the software development lifecycle.
No, it's very interesting. I can imagine like the solution that you are trying to make once you get it polished and perfect for people who are your target customer, it's going to be an incredibly efficient tool. It's obviously, as a marketer, we look and we have similar problem sets to you. As developers, obviously, the communication can be all over the place, different networks not working properly, etc. So by the time all of that type of things consolidated, it would make a lot of sense. From there, who would the main target customer be for you today? If you were to get on the phone 1,000 times a day and try and sell Fine to
Yeah,
people, who
so
would
we are at an early stage, right? We just released our first release on Product Hunt. And right now, the clients that we are working with are companies. They are not small, but they are not huge. So I would say between 50 and 200
Mhm.
developers working with a modern stack, ready to integrate with AI. Usually they have a team that's leading this effort. We are trying to get to these teams. We are also focusing on our local market because we would like to give fast support, and really working with our clients is our top priority right now. So we are working with these types of companies. It really depends, because in our market, every competitor takes their niche. So some people would say, I'm only working with Java. If this is your task, come to me. I'm only working with refactoring. If this is your task, come to me. We are still trying to understand, right, where do we excel? What's exactly the sharpest tool that we can offer you? Yeah.
It's an interesting philosophy on it, because I think sometimes people will be focused too much on this is what we're building, so this is what you must have. So obviously you're testing and refining. From the sort of those size of companies, you think you would be able to turn a team of say 50 developers into what would feel like 200.
Ideally.
That's going to be a massive shift in productivity. Do you think that's going to impact their hiring and other things? Do you think there might be some negative consequences short
To be
term?
honest, no. I think already developers and non-developers as well, already everybody is using AI in their day-to-day job, whether they use it through developer tools or specific tools, or whether by just going ahead and asking ChatGPT quick question and coming back to the flow. So already everybody is using AI. The tools will go and improve over time, and Fine will be one of these improved tools. In the short term, I don't think many people will experience the difference, but in the long term, developers that will learn how to delegate tasks efficiently and how to guide AI efficiently will become much more productive than developers who still work on their own. That's definitely something to be aware of.
Definitely. So, how would security work for somebody if they were using Fine? Is their code going to be exposed publicly?
So
How do you
definitely
keep it
everything
safe?
must be super safe. We are working with probably one of the most sensitive, or maybe the most sensitive asset of every company, the source code. So we are maintaining the highest standards, working with different environments for every client. Everything is totally separate. Of course, there's an option for running on-prem, but it's more expensive. So it depends on the client, what choice that they choose. It really depends. We try to make things as accessible as possible, but we will always put security before accessibility. So we would force you to take an extra step if it means that things are more secure.
No, that's nice to hear. 'Cause I think sometimes people don't realize that how big of a problem that could be, and they naively walk down that path. But obviously, being in the intelligence force, you know how to keep a secret. So that's fantastic. So from there, it's everything's secure for people. They know sort of the code and everything that's going on for them. How would it start from day one if somebody was to come and say, "Then Jonathan, we're here to use Fine. Where
So
do
the
we
way we
start? What
work
do we do?"
today is we go to this company, we have this onboarding session with them. We bring some of their developers, we show them the product, we show them around, we guide them on how to use our product. And then we start communicating with them very openly. We respond super fast, trying to get to their concerns, trying to see what troubles them, what can we solve for them, etc. I think for many startups at this stage, customer success is very important, right? You need to keep your clients happy, even though your product is at its early days. There are still some sharp corners, as we like to say. So we are doing our best to keep the personal touch still.
I like the saying the sharp corners. A lot of products are obviously very rough around the edges, aren't they? So it's a good way of framing it. How did you go about validating it? Were you able to use your own internal experience?
Dan is my co-founder and CTO. So we produced actually a web series about developer experience because we both really love this field. And by producing this documentary, we actually got to talk. I think it was more than 100 hours of interviews with leading R&D people from some of the bigger companies in Israel, including Wix and AppsFlyer, Taboola, ZipRecruiter. So really tech giants, and we got to speak with really interesting people from these companies, ask them about their ideas, their visions, the problems that they face. And we took all this knowledge, combined it with our perception of reality, news that come out, etc., to understand where is this world going. So we had a very good understanding of software today at the time, and we try to think, okay, how will it look tomorrow? So what's software tomorrow? And this is what guided us. It
Mhm.
gave us good start point, but there was a lot of exploration along the way. So you got to keep your ears open, right? Because eventually you'll get the feedback from people who actually use it.
That's very interesting. 100 plus hours must have opened up a lot of conversations in a different points that you never considered. It's very well validated. So from there, did you think you made many mistakes or many assumptions that proved erroneous? Would you have developed things in the wrong direction if
Yeah,
you'd spoken to
100%.
people?
When we are in the room, when we are working together, just the co-founders, it's very easy to take decisions based on the opinions of two people. But once we started putting it out there, getting feedback from real users, of course, the product hunt launch really helped. We got to understand what people are really looking for, what really moves them, what they care for, what are the best use cases. And these are definitely things that we could have never guessed. We could have assumed, but we could have never said with confidence, yes, this is the right way, this is the right feature, this is what is most relevant. All of this interaction with clients and users really helped us shape the product, and it's definitely a critical step.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic way of doing things. Do you think that there's anything in hindsight you may have made a mistake on, or that you'd do differently next time?
There have been a lot of mistakes. I don't know how to where to start on that, but the important thing is that you learn from them. So I think the point here is not to avoid mistakes, but actually to make them and to learn from them. I can't even specify just one thing that I can say. This is the most important thing. We keep making mistakes every day.
Okay, fair enough. I think sometimes people will look back and say, "There's this one thing. If we just done this differently, then the whole direction might have changed, or we made a tiny mistake here that ended up cascading and other things." But I think you're right. It's not a case of mistakes; it's opportunities to learn and grow, isn't it? So from there, are you going to be looking for VC funding other things? Is it a big picture for
Yeah, we are
in the
currently
future?
funded. We will probably go for more funding
Oh,
down
you
the
are.
road, but currently we have some funding and we are operating, working with clients, working with customers. Yeah, that we're trying to improve day by day. to make a stronger case for the next round. But yeah, this is our case right now.
Okay. What was the going for funding process like? Is it the first time you've been funded, or have you had
We've
experience
had
from
experience
before?
from before, working with close with some friends, angels from the industry, etc. So it wasn't not familiar to us.
Did you create full pitch decks and go through a big tedious process, or was it relatively straightforward?
I think it was the normal process in a way. Of course, we had a lot of meetings. We met with a lot of people. Some of them said no. Some of them said yes. Some of them said maybe. And I think as the entrepreneur in the picture, you really have to consider every response. You can't take every response too seriously. You really gotta keep an open mind, see where things
Mhm.
go, what can you improve, what can you learn from pitch to pitch, and eventually strike the best deal that you can.
It's good advice. I think sometimes people who've never been for VC funding will look at it as a very daunting process, and it's the same thing with if you're applying for a job or starting for the first time. You expect to get knocked back X amount of times before you become successful. So
Exactly.
don't be too upset by it. It's take it as a learning curve. That's fantastic. So, what does your role of your head of R&D mean in the startup?
So we are a few engineers and we are developing very fast, obviously, because we get a lot of feedback from our clients. So we really need to change and create new features very quickly. And obviously, when you move very fast and you create new features for customers, then you break your code quite a lot. And being responsible for the engineering basically means taking care that the product continues to be stable as possible while delivering new features in a fast enough manner. So we try to keep up with at least something new at
Okay.
least every week, at least one thing every week, and while making sure that people can still use our product. We are not at the level of a product in the grade of Meta, Facebook, or something, right?
Okay, no, it's interesting. I've never seen somebody at such an early stage with a job title like that, so I was very curious as to what it was. You mentioned that you came second on Product Hunt. Was that something that you anticipated or hoped for? What was the objective when you first thought about
We
listing there?
hope to get product of the day, but it also came at the time. I think it was like a week after Devin announced, and after there were a few products on Product Hunt related to the topic. So we felt like this is the time that we should also make an impact. We should also show our face out there, and we joined the race in a way.
Yeah, because you came second, but it was a
Yeah,
very close race,
yeah,
wasn't it?
and I think
It's
for us, what truly mattered was not necessarily the product of the day, but more in our category, in the dev tools category, to be number one of the week and to be in this specific field.
Did you spend a lot of time preparing for your
Yeah,
launch?
and it's really important. I followed the steps of a guy called Tom Orbach. He's doing marketing tips and he has this blog with so much gold information for people who are doing marketing for their startup. And one of his articles is about product hunt and the launch and what can you do before, what should you do during the day, after, etc. And he really sums it up in an amazing manner. And I really recommend people to follow his steps. I've also seen other creators following his steps, and I've seen that it worked for them. So he cracked the formula for success, if I may say.
You came second to a
Yeah,
company called Pika, who have 16 or so team members. So
yeah.
you're massively outgunned, for the outreach. So you've done really well. You see it sometimes, there's a solo indie dev going up against Claude or Google's releasing something. You think it's an unfair playing field. But then if the community likes it, they like it, don't they? And there's only so much you can do.
There's an element of
Pardon?
luck in the release. Yeah. So
Yeah.
of course you can prepare for 3 months and then release your product together with Gemini, and it's not gonna be the best of days.
There's been a few people who reached out and they were currently, I think, fourth or fifth. And says, "Oh, can you have a look at our product?" And I says, "You need to be careful today because I think it was when Claude was releasing." And it's like you want to be saying to people, "Have a look at our product because we're going to be fighting against a massively funded company, and there's just two of us." And then, sure enough, Claude ended up beating them later on as soon as somebody tweeted about it. So it was a shame for them. But yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting place. So will Product Hunt be your continued
It
go to
was very
market then?
effective for us. We got a lot of leads, a lot of interest from the community. It still actually works for us because it's still over there. It still shows the badges and everything. And also it adds a layer of credibility. So if someone sees that you launch your product on Product Hunt, adds a layer of credibility to your product and adds a face to the product, so people know there's a person behind this. Especially in our field where there are so many things out there, and you really want to know, can I trust this or not? So this was really good and it worked for us. We will definitely do more releases soon with new features, new everything. Maybe not just on Product Hunt, but also on other technological related websites.
Yeah, are you going to be launching on places like AppSumo
I'm
or
not
not?
sure, but maybe places like Hacker News, so the big forums of techies.
Okay, 'cause I know that this AppSumo, for example, it's the biggest one in that niche. If somebody is bootstrapping, it can make a lot of sense,
Yeah,
even though they know it's a poor deal. But then obviously, if you don't need to take it, don't take it. So I've seen quite a few people move from one platform to another, but they're usually bootstrapping. So the money's a bit like a seed
yeah.
investment almost for them. So eh, for somebody who was looking to start a business, what would you say that your one key piece of
Get the
advice
right
would be?
team. Get the right team. The people who will work with you on this will be with you almost 24 hours a day. So make sure that you can work together really well, that you connect well,
Mhm.
that you know how to work together. That's the most important piece of advice, I think, from my side.
Okay. No, it's fantastic advice. I think from there, unless you've got anything else you'd like to go into,
No, yeah, I think it's good.
yeah, no, fantastic. Thank you for coming, Jonathan. It's been an interesting conversation, and I look
Yeah,
forward
same.
to
Thank you
speaking
for
to you
having
again
me.
soon.